Today, we're talking about something we all think we understand, aging. And usually, the story we're told is one of decline. But what if that's just not the whole story? We're going to explore a really different idea, that aging isn't just an ending, but a powerful, profound spiritual awakening.
So let's just jump right in with a big question that kind of gets to the heart of it all. Is getting older just about loss? I mean, that's the narrative, right? We hear about physical decline, maybe feeling a bit invisible, losing relevance. But is that really all there is to it?
But what if we flipped that script entirely? What if, instead of seeing our later years as this slow fade, we saw them as a unique and powerful final stage of our development? You know, a time not just for looking back, but for a deep spiritual transformation. That's the big idea we're digging into today.
Okay, before we can get to that awakening, we have to get real for a minute. We have to acknowledge the very real challenges that come with what some experts call the third age.
You know, when you look at this, you see it's coming from all sides. Medically, of course, there's more vulnerability. Sociologically, things like ageism and loneliness are no joke. And psychologically, you're dealing with huge changes. These challenges are absolutely real. And here's the key. It's often because of these pressures that a huge internal shift starts to happen.
So, what do you do when you're faced with all of that? Well, for many people, this is when a remarkable journey begins. A journey not outward, into the world, but deep inside. These words from a woman named Miss Halpern, who was part of a study at the National Institutes of Health. Wow. They just capture this perfectly. At 71, she didn't see reflection as just daydreaming. For her, it was an active choice. It's about paying attention, giving your life a shape, so you don't just drift.
And here's the thing. This isn't just a casual hobby. It becomes a central spiritual task. It's the hard work of making sense of your entire life, the choices, the relationships, the good, the bad. It's about figuring out who you are in the grand scheme of it all.
For a really powerful example of this, listen to Miss Jones, another woman from that same study. At 67 years old, she's grappling with the fact she was adopted, something she'd kept secret her whole life. And all these deep, unresolved questions about who she really was started bubbling to the surface, making it hard for her to connect with people. Her story just shows how this life review forces us to face the biggest questions about who we are.
So this brings up another fascinating question. What happens to a person's faith when their mind starts to change? How can spirituality stick around, or even get deeper, when memory and thinking start to decline?
To really get this, we have to make a pretty important distinction. Think of it like this. Religion is kind of like the container. It's the rituals, the buildings, the specific practices. But spirituality, that's the actual content inside the container. It's that feeling of connection, of meaning. And the amazing thing is, that core experience can stay strong even when someone can't participate in all the formal religious stuff anymore.
Let me tell you about Mrs. G. She was 92, and her dementia left her feeling anxious and confused a lot of the time. But what researchers found was incredible. Even when she was totally disoriented, things like familiar hymns would tap into this deep wellspring of faith inside her. Her favorite song was Jesus Loves Me, and whatever she heard it, the anxiety would just melt away and you could see this pure joy on her face. Her spirit was right there, totally accessible, even if her mind wasn't.
And this leads to this really profound way of looking at it. Instead of just seeing dementia as a loss, some theologians have started calling it a journey from the mind to the heart. The idea is that as the logical, analytical part of the brain quiets down, the very core of the person, you could call it the soul or the heart, is still there, still connected. It's like the center of who you are just shifts.
So this big shift from the outside world to the inside world also completely redefines what purpose looks like. It's this move away from a life of active work, let's call that a ministry, to a life defined by a deeper way of being, which we can call a mission.
Yeah, this chart really breaks it down. Ministry is all about doing. It's task-oriented. Our value is tied up in what we can accomplish. But mission, that's different. It's about presence. It's about simply being. Your value isn't about what you do anymore. It's about the person you've become after all these years.
Now, making that shift isn't always easy. In fact, it can be really hard. There's this striking metaphor from the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. An old eagle has to go through this painful process, breaking its own beak, pulling out its feathers so it can be reborn and live longer. It's the same with us. Letting go of who we used to be can hurt, but it's what you have to do to find a new, deeper way to live.
And this is the beautiful result of that renewal.
This new mission, a mission of prayer, of quiet wisdom, of just being there for people, it becomes this incredible gift. It enriches a family, a community, in a way that just doing stuff never could. The contribution shifts from what they do to who they are.
And that brings us to the very peak of this whole spiritual journey, the emergence of a really unique and powerful kind of wisdom.
Researchers actually have a name for this: gerotranscendence. It's basically a shift away from worrying about material things towards bigger, more cosmic ideas. It often means people are less afraid of death, they feel more connected to their grandkids and their grandparents, and they are really focused on the quality of their being, not the quantity of their doing.
And let's be really clear here. This kind of wisdom isn't about knowing a ton of facts or winning at trivia night. It's way deeper than that. It's an understanding of life that you can only get from living it. It lets you see the big picture with compassion and a kind of calm perspective.
This quote from Gandhi, man, it just sums up that whole shift in purpose perfectly, doesn't it? It's realizing that, yeah, maybe your individual actions feel small, but the act itself, of showing up, of being present, of loving, that is what's incredibly important. That's the heart of the mission of being. And so that leaves us with a final question, and it's for every single one of us, no matter how old we are. This whole journey culminates in a kind of wisdom our world desperately needs. So the question is, are we actually creating the space to hear it? How can we do a better job of listening for the profound wisdom that's being spoken in the final stage of life? That's definitely something to think about.